Welcome to Network Coffee House. My name is Logan Robertson. I'm the pastor of AfterHours Denver, and I'll be the shift director on our Sunday morning shift here at Network. And what we'll do is welcome people into this space on Sunday mornings at 11 o'clock, right through this door. This is the front door of Network. You can see the net working here, catching some fish. And I have always thought as a shift director that when I come to open a shift and I open this door and welcome people in, that I've succeeded. That my basic role as shift director and your basic role as volunteer is to welcome people into this space. So it's not low expectations, but it is simple expectations. What we come here to do is to open this door, welcome people in, and create an environment of rest for people who don't always find that rest. As a volunteer, when you arrive, you will come in the back door by the parking lot. There's an entrance off of 14th Street. So we'll come in that back door, maybe 10:30, 10:45, a little early if you're coming for the entire shift. If you're not coming for the entire shift, you just rap on that back door and we'll let you in. For those folks who come for the shift, who are our guests and community members who are experiencing homelessness, they come in this front door, and this is, again, the main job here at Network. Over the years, Network has described itself as the living room of Christ. What does that mean? What does the living room of Christ mean? Basically, what it means to me is that there are other places in the city where other needs are being met for people experiencing homelessness. One of those needs is food, another is a place to sleep. So I think of there being a dining room of Christ, I think of there being a bedroom of Christ, and Network is the living room of Christ. Very simply, what that means is this is a space just to come and be human. It's a space of safety, calm. It's a place to get a hot beverage, a cup of coffee, some juice, water, whatever the case may be, and a place to come and experience rest and relaxation, just like you would do in your living room. So, as part of that, as a volunteer, you're not expected to be doing a lot. It's not a volunteering experience where you come and you're really busy the entire time, because what we're doing is just creating that welcome and then just maintaining calm and rest for the people who are coming in. So volunteering at Network is about greeting, about listening, and about getting to know people who normally don't get the time of day from the people they encounter. Yes, we distribute lunches, we distribute water, we distribute socks and other gear, other survival gear, but we're not here primarily to distribute gear. Now, for some of this goes against our instincts. I think we're sort of trained to be as efficient as possible and to serve as many people in their needs as possible. But Network, as the living room of Christ, as volunteers, we have our eye on creating the calmest, most welcoming, most restful place possible for everyone who walks in that door, no matter who they are. So I say that we're here to create a restful environment, a calm environment, a living room environment, and that is the goal. That being said, there are people who come in from the streets who are experiencing homelessness, who come in and sometimes have big behaviors, and certainly behaviors that you are not used to encountering in the day-to-day. So sometimes that includes anger, sometimes it includes delusions, sometimes it's related to mental illness, sometimes it's related to crisis or trauma. Other times it's because people are under the influence of drugs or alcohol. And so those big behaviors will occur on your shift. It's not always something that's upsetting. Sometimes it can be upsetting, the behaviors that you'll observe. So I would prepare yourself for that. There are ways in which our people relate to reality, which is not always grounded in the reality that we share. People oftentimes are experiencing an unseen reality that is very real for them and that we can't enter into. But what we can offer is an opportunity to come in and hopefully check out of that unseen reality and get in touch with the rest and the love and dignity and an ability to be in a place where people aren't going to stand in judgment over them, but are instead going to welcome them into a calmer spot, into a spot where they can ramp down some of that tension. I also say it's important to note that you'll hear things and even have conversations with people that sometimes are uncomfortable and you might even feel offended. And I would just ask you, to the best of your ability, not to be offended, because it's not about you. It's about that other reality. Oftentimes, people who come into network are experiencing days, day to day, sometimes even every day, that may be worse than anything you've ever experienced in your life, or that would be one of the worst days that you ever had, except they have that every single day. So you might hear hard words, you might hear anger, you might hear things that make you, or in another context, would make you feel like you need to stand up for yourself and say a hard word back. And it's not that you can't stand up for yourself, but I please ask you not to take it personally, because it's really not personal. It's about what they're bringing into this space. And our job as volunteers is not just to absorb that, but to say, I understand that what's happening on the streets and coming in here is different than what I know. And finally, I would say there's a shift director on every shift. Shift director's responsibility to de-escalate those situations. So the best thing you can do is remain as calm as possible. And if you need the support of a shift director, which would be me, to reach out to that shift director to say, hey, can somebody find Logan if I'm not in the direct vicinity? And I'll come and work on de-escalating whatever's going on. At the same time, if you do feel like you've heard something that's really upsetting to you and you need to take a break, obviously as a volunteer, you're allowed to take a time out. You're allowed to go upstairs. Upstairs is a safe, comforting space at the best of times. And I always encourage volunteers to take a break if they need to. So we've talked about some of the behaviors we might observe. And it's not that anything goes at network. We really are striving to create a welcoming, warm, and calm environment, a place where there's some harmony between us as volunteers and our guests, and between guests as well, between network and the population the network serves. And so sometimes that means that people need to be asked to leave. If things get super chaotic, it's not beyond me to completely shut down a shift, and that's been known to happen. More often than not, it's one or two individuals who need to be asked to take a timeout for a day, for a week, for a matter of weeks. And that does happen. And it's not that we don't love those folks. It's not that they're not welcome here. But in order to create the most welcoming and loving environment for the most people, sometimes we have to draw a boundary. And we draw those boundaries in love. Not because we think that some people deserve to stay and some people don't, but that oftentimes some of those behaviors are not conducive to what we're trying to accomplish here, which is keeping that door open, welcoming people in, and welcoming them into an environment of peace, safety, belonging, and just simple being. So really, you're all welcome, but you gotta act right. That sums it up. The final thing I'd like you to know and to be prepared for is how mundane a shift at network can be. There are things that can happen that are decidedly less than mundane, especially around people's behaviors and things like that. But what I don't want people to expect from volunteering at network is to come in and every week or even most weeks to have some kind of life-changing spiritual experience. The changing experience that you have at network as a volunteer is from your continued experience over the weeks, maybe even over the months. It will affect you spiritually, but it's not as if God reaches a finger down and touches each volunteer and sends them out with sort of visions of heaven or something like that. It's more about coming and just making those very small connections, listening to stories, getting to know people's names, asking people how they're doing, and that consistency and presence is key. Now, that being said, I've also come in on shifts and had conversations with people that I'll remember forever and that truly have greatly affected me in ways that I think increase my faith in God, in humanity, in my fellow volunteers, and in the people who come in the door, that just help me see the beauty of our shared humanity and the way that we're all made in the image of God. I have had those experiences, but I don't want you to expect those experiences. Oftentimes what it looks like is making coffee for 2.5, 3 hours, cleaning the bathrooms, mopping the floor, and wiping down tables at the end of the day. And that's a pretty mundane shift. It doesn't mean it isn't meaningful, but it does mean that you shouldn't expect your heart to be strangely warmed every time you're here. So the final piece I would say is just some logistical stuff on signing up for shifts. Our sign-up sheet has shifts listed from 11 o'clock till 2 o'clock, and that's the 11 till 2 o'clock is the time the shift runs. We open the door at 11 o'clock. We hope to close the door by 2 o'clock. Cleanup takes about half an hour. Now, if you sign up for an 11 to 2 o'clock shift and you can't come until, let's say, noon or even 12:30, that's okay with me. I'm comfortable running a shift with kind of a shoestring volunteer core, so to speak. It's the most labor-intensive part of the shift is closing. So from 2 till 2:30, sometimes we even start closing a little early, 1:45, we start cleaning stuff up. If you can please plan to be here through cleanup, it makes everybody's life easier. Selfishly, it makes my life easier as the shift director. And I think there's a good feeling, actually, having come to the end of the shift, closing and looking out at the place and seeing that it's reset for that next shift the next day. It gives me a sort of sense of finality, of completion, that things are ready to go. And I think it's an important part of volunteering a network. So I want to thank you for your interest in volunteering a network and for supporting After Hours in our volunteering a network to fulfill our mission, which is to put more love into the world by providing necessities for people who need them, especially homeless folks, and by creating places where all are welcome. I don't know of a place in the city where more people who need welcome experience welcome, who oftentimes would not experience that welcome. And so to run it all the way back up the line, we create that welcome, we distribute lunches, gear, socks, water, and by doing that, we're putting more love into the world. So thanks for being a part of it. Oh, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. You can get me at logan@afterhoursdenver.org. Thank you.